So how's that for a quick turnaround? I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Welcome to The Gospel Truth. And today we want to talk about the gospel truth about the 2017 and 2024 eclipses and their relation to the September 23 Revelation 12 deception. That's right. I said the September 23 Revelation 12 deception. And we're going to go to the gospel truth about all these things and see what is really going on. I do welcome you to like this channel, like this video. I welcome you to share this video. I welcome you to subscribe to this channel, the only channel of its type on YouTube and one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube. And I talked with Heidi Vandenberg. And while I was at Graceland, I took a picture of Elvis Presley's birth certificate. And Heidi's going to come on and talk about Elvis Presley's Vedic astrology based upon his birthplace, birth time, birth date. And we'll see how much the astrology lines up with what we know of the great Elvis Presley. I enjoyed being there at Graceland. It was a great time. And I enjoyed going through the house again and seeing it, you know, what they've done with it. I don't know if it's all positive, but it was a great time. And we'll have Heidi Vandenberg on in the very near future and to talk about Elvis. And maybe we could have Jenny on at the same time talk about Elvis, because they do a lot of these dual readings. It might be interesting to get an idea about Elvis from both perspectives. We're going to have Tamu and Gina back on real quick. We're going to start going through the tarot. I think Sunday morning we'll have a combined show with Wayne Steiger and I, and that's going to be an ongoing thing. So a lot of great things happening. But let's take a look at this whole eclipse business, 2017 and 2024. We just had the 2017 August 21st eclipse. I got in my car here in Central Florida. I drove 12 hours up to Nashville, Tennessee. I was right there on the zero line. We drove a little bit. We were on the zero line, a full, complete totality, nearly 3 minutes, just a couple seconds shy. And we were able to take in the entire totality of that total solar eclipse. And let me tell you something. It was a tremendous celestial event. It was a tremendous spiritual event. If you think it was fake, I just did a video about that. I encourage you to take a look at it because it certainly was not fake. And I just want to give you a couple of insights about the eclipse. 2017, let's look at that in numerological terms. 2 plus 0 plus 1 equals 3 plus 7 equals 10, 1 and 0. And you know, I talked for a lot of days there before the eclipse. I'm still talking about it, about that eclipse being Sophia rising, the goddess rising. And that eclipse being on a day that was a 10 shows us that it was a total display of duality. The 1 and the 0. Those are the building blocks, 1 and 0. So it was a completion of the expression, full expression of divinity here in our time. It was the correction of Sophia, who had, as we have shown you in times past, manifested in Eve. She actually incarnated in Eve. She was the first Christ, female Christ. She incarnated in Eve to help us learn the secret to undo the damage that her son, that she created without her male consort, which was a mistake. And she took responsibility for that mistake. She incarnated in Eve. And now she's through with that business. She is corrected. Sophia has risen. And we have the full male-female application of divinity. And maybe that explains why we have had such a completely male-dominated culture for at least 2,000 years. How could that happen? Well, that can easily happen if the goddess has placed herself in a place of submission. You could say penance, but I would prefer to think of her actually doing what she can to help us. But that's over now. So we are rising into a new place of fullness of divinity, both the male and the female. And this gives us a chance to get the fullness into our own selves of male and female, to be metro spiritual, as we also talked about right before the eclipse. Now, the September 23 Revelation 12 deception, and it is a deception. And as you heard me on Rex's show in a little mini debate with Scott Clark. My belief historically, and really can't be disputed, is that the whole September 23, Revelation 12 scenario is built on Jesuit doctrine. There's no doubting that. It is Jesuit doctrine. So you have a choice of believing the historical position of the church. You have a choice of believing the position of the Christ. He did directly address it. And you can believe that, or you can believe a Jesuit doctrine. You can believe the Jesuits got it right. They were just helping us out on this one. You can believe the Jesuits were helping us in spite of themselves. There's a lot of things you can believe, but the fact of the matter is the historical church and the Christ tell one story. The Jesuit Revelation 12, September 23 story is a different story. It's a Jesuit story by the Antichrist, those that are against Christ, and the Christ has a story straight from the Christ's mouth. So that's your choice to believe. But here's the reason why that September 23 comes up, because they're teaching that some say the rapture might occur on September 23rd. It won't. But what many of them are saying is that September 23 is a kickoff point. And they're saying it without saying it. Some of them are, that it is a beginning of the tribulation period, which is a 7-year period of hell on earth, Trump's vials, Antichrist rise, chopping off heads, mark of the beast, the whole 9 yards, rebuilt temples, which the Christ said's all over, ended in AD 70. I proved it to you last night. Look it up, Matthew 24 and the Revelation 12, September 23 sign. Here's your sign, if you still believe it. And they want us to believe that this time, this 7-year period, is going to be a time of tribulation. Well, I can't figure out how to get this. I'm new at the Mac. I can't get my my calculator up on the screen, so I'm looking on my other computer. And the next eclipse, total eclipse, comes in 2024, right? So if I take 2024 and I subtract 2017, what am I going to get? I'm going to get 7. So the Jesuit-inspired Revelation 12, September 23, tribulation starting deception wants us to believe that on September 23rd, a 7-year period of tribulation is going to come. Terrible things happening. Fear, dread. And you know that whole idea of tribulation is fear. So if you're fear-driven, you're not going to be looking for benefits. You're going to be looking for woe. But what if the 2017 Sophia rising eclipse, to where divinity, male and female, has come in its fullness and it's now being exposed to us, and where the goddess is alive and well like she hasn't been in thousands of years, what if the September 23 Revelation 12 tribulation doctrine is meant to take your focus off another 7-year period? And what if it's not a 7-year period of tribulation? What if it's a 7-year period of jubilation? What if it's not a 7-year period of horrible things happening, but it's a 7-year period of potentially beautiful and powerful growth and spiritual development? Also, if you look at, remember we talked about how 2017 is a 10. It's a completion. It's the 1, it's the 0, it's the male, it's the female. What is 2024? If you look at 2024, it's 2 plus 0 equals 2, plus 2 equals 4, plus 4 equals 8. It's an 8. 2024 is an 8, and it's 7 years from 2017. So what does an 8 mean? Well, let's take a look at what the 8 means in numerology. Let's look at the meaning of the number 8. Let's take a glance at that, and let's see if we can't glean some spiritual reality from this, and see if we can't figure out what the 2017 or what the Revelation 12 September 23rd crowd is trying to hide from us by teaching us this thing of tribulation taking off. And let me share with you folks, when the 24th comes and there's been no rapture, When the 24th comes and the second coming hasn't arrived, here's what they're going to be teaching you. And I'm telling you right now, and you can remember this. They're not going to have the integrity to say we were wrong. They're going to say, oh, this just started things. This is the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. That's what they're going to tell you. That's what they're going to sell you. Remember, you heard it here first. You heard the gospel truth that they're going to be selling you that September 23rd was the start of the tribulation when nothing happens. So I want you to understand what's going on. So let's get into the meaning of the number 8, because 2024, when the next eclipse comes, is an 8. And I know you probably can't see this really, really well. Let me see if I can't blow it up for you a bit. Okay. 8 is the most misunderstood of all single-digit numbers, they say, and I tend to agree with them. A lot of people like to hammer on money and power image of the 8. But 8 is really not about money and power. And it's not about upgrading your mobility either. 8 is really not about money and power. 8 is more than anything else about balance. Think about that. We're talking about the male and female coming into balance with this 2017. And they didn't come into balance. They came into balance. The female Sophia came back into balance with the male. But we have to incorporate that into our lives, and we have to incorporate it as a society. So what if this 7-year period that the Revelation 12, September 23 people want you to think is a time of tribulation, what if it is a time where we can come into balance? What if it's a time where we can take advantage, this 8 going up to 2024, of the great karmic equalizer? They want you to think it's going to be destruction, but what if it's really creation? And what if it's both? What if it is a time of creation for those of us that want to incorporate the full manifested God, the mother, father, the father, mother? What if for those of us who want to manifest the female and the male to its totality, what if it's creation for us? And what if it marks and seals the destruction, at least spiritually, of those that want to continue to deny it? When the 8 comes knocking, you can be assured that you will reap what you've sown. Now, I don't want to sound like these guys promising woe and gloom and doom. And somebody said, never trust a guy that uses Botox, talking about me. So I'll take that as a compliment. I guess I'm looking pretty good. I never had no Botox. I don't know no Botox. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. So 2024 is 7 years from now. We have 7 years to begin to leverage the fullness of the manifested full divinity, the completion of the Christ, male and female. And remember, I was talking about before the eclipse, you better get your stuff ready because you got till the 21st. That was the beginning of the beginning. So we really, I think, probably have about a 7-year period here to really start applying ourselves and taking in the totality of the fullness of the divinity, the completion of the Christ, female Sophia, Garden of Eden, incarnating in Eve, male Word, incarnating in the one we call the Christ in Judea, Jerusalem, about 2,000 years ago. Now with Sophia risen there together, the Christ is complete. And we have a 7-year period where we can really put the pedal to the metal and really begin to grow and develop ourselves into our fullness and our full potential of our spirituality. So let's take a look at the rest of what an 8 can mean. The 8 balances. See, balance again, and it's all about balance between male and female. It balances material and immaterial. It balances spiritual and materialistic. It's practical. It's realistic. It's intelligent. It knows the difference between make-believe and genuine spiritual realizations. Do you realize this is what we do? This is what we talk about here on the Gospel Truth? Genuine, real, and we expose the make-believe. On the material plane, it's focused about money, but it's not focused about money for money's sake. It sees money as a tool, generous, willing to take risks. And that's the kind of people that I need helping me out here. I need people that are going to be financially successful, and you can drive this to financial success. if we work together and we follow the ways and the truths that the Christ has laid out for us, we can drive that to financial success. And you can share some of that financial success with me so we can get on Gaia network television. Do you know that you can buy your way onto network television? I could buy my way for a special, and I've got one of the best producers in all of entertainment that would produce a special for me for free. We could have a rip-roaring, super fantastic documentary or a super fantastic special, and we could have it on network television. We could be on nationwide network television for an hour-long program. It would cost $75,000, but we could do it. And really, $75,000 is not that much money. So you want to know what goes on in my brain when I'm up 19 hours a day? You want to know the things I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about, I got 117,000 Twitter followers, and I haven't been keeping up with it. It was at 120. And if every one of them gave me $1, I could put on a special on network television. What do you think would happen if we could get this message on network television? It would be the end of the oppressive mind control, fear and guilt matrix of Pauline Christianity. It'd be over. Look at the effect we're having when we're doing it little by little here on YouTube. And I'm not despising what we do on YouTube. I mean, I remember less than 2 months ago, we had 1,000 subscribers. Now we're up to 7. We're pushing 7. You know, salute you guys. And I was in the Air Force, so I do know how to salute. So salute you guys. It's all about you. And it's all about getting this message of the gospel truth out. But let the 8 bless you. And ladies, as you begin to realize the shenanigans that are going on in Pauline Christianity, how they say that you should be quiet in church, how they say that you should never have authority over a man, how they say it was you that sinned, they blame it all on you, how they say that you are so out of control sexually that you have to have a man to keep you from having sex with angels, how the things they say about you that you should just shut up. It's a sin. It's a shame for you to even speak in church. As soon as you get tired of that, and as soon as you wake up and realize that you make up about 70% of the finances of any and every church, what if you left that church that you're going and use some of the money that you give to them? What if you just gave it to me for a month or 2? We'd be on network television like that. We'd be at 1 million subscribers like that. That's the only thing holding us back. And that's as strong as a money appeal as you'll ever get from me. Because we're going to get there. With or without you individually, it's just, do you want to be part of this or not? Because I know we're going to get there. But that's part of this whole thing. It's a 7-year period of, I think, unprecedented opportunity for people to leave the false Pauline religion and come into the truth, the faith of the Christ. And they got to hear that message somehow. That's why I'm working 19 hours a day. That's why I'm up 19 hours a day. And that's why we're doing what we do to try to get this message out to as many people. And I really feel like what I need to do is even work harder now that we've got, it looks like a 7-year period with a great opportunity for enlightenment. So I may try to find another hour in the day somehow and work a little bit harder. All right. The 8 has power. The 8 sometimes lacks diplomatic skills. You can see that I've been that way. We're trying to correct that a little bit. Success and prosperity is coming for us, folks. And I'm hoping that you'll share some of that so we can grow this. Higher than average percentage of 8 find their way to top echelons of society. I believe that we're not meant to be the tail, we're meant to be the head. And I believe that this is something that does have a positive and a negative side. It's going to be positive for us. It's going to be negative for folks that reject this message. Negative on a personal basis and negative on a corporate karmic basis. We've got the most positive, powerful message out there. And we want to get that message out to as much people as possible. And it is this 8 between now and 2024. It's a great time for us to get blessed. I mean, Heidi Vandenberg did my chart and says I'm going to be exploding financially. And that means I'm going to be pouring a lot here. So, I've said it. You know what I've said. Here we are. So I really believe that the September 23 Revelation 12 sign, one of the big reasons that it's being pitched to us is to take our minds away from this. Number one, the completion of the Christ. And number two, they're pitching it as the start of the tribulation. So we will miss the start of the jubilation. It really is a jubilee for us because it's probably, and I'm going to make this statement, it's probably the best 7-year period since the beginning of the first century. This is the most powerful, potentially powerful 7-year period in human history since the time that the Christ walked upon terra firma. Because even the Christ said, it's better for you if I go away. So if it was great when he was here for 3.5 years, how much greater is it going to be when we now have the completed Christ pouring out everything they have to us for 7 years? All we have to do is receive and move into our fullness. This is our day. This is our time. The other guys want to tell you that it's a time of tribulation, a time of fear, a time of terror, fear of horrible things. But the gospel truth is that it's a time of jubilation. It's a time of growth. It's a time of development. It's a time of coming together in brotherhood and sisterhood. It's a time of us becoming who we are meant to be and not being these slaves locked into a fear and guilt control matrix. You don't have original sin. You're filled with the spark of divinity within. You didn't kill Jesus. You're not responsible. And you're not born with original sin. So you don't have to have salvation, and you don't have to go to them that say they've got the only Savior. The Christ said, love the God in you. That'll cause you to love you. Then love your neighbor as yourself. He said, be excellent to each other. He said, I've given you the best of all the ways of human spirituality. I've given you the best of all the truths of human spirituality. And if you incorporate these ways, you will find peace that passes all understanding and a life more abundant. This is the 7-year period for the realization and activation of the way of the Christ. It's time for the realization and activation of the gospel truth within our lives, individually and collectively. So you can believe the gloom and doomers, or you can believe what we're presenting to you out of the gospel and truth. Hope. Jubilee. Jubilation, not tribulation. Hope, not fear. Fulfilling of the Christ, not antichrist. It's up to you. Only what I'm sharing you has one great advantage. It comes from the gospel truth. And what they're teaching you comes from a Jesuit playbook. It's up to you. What do you choose to believe? I bring you to water, I can't make you drink. I bring you to the gospel truth, but I can't make you think. It's up to you. Do you want to unindoctrinate yourself? Let's go to the chat room and see what we have as far as feedback. Let's see what we got as far as feedback. Wow, we got a lot of folks. Wow, we got a lot of folks. A lot of folks. See if I can get back to the end of this. Wow. Did he just go live again? Yes, he did. Jeff, I sent you an email. I need cleansing services. Okay, Tammy, I'll check it out and we'll do it. Mustafa, my brother. Can the eclipse prove that light can bend based on splash light out of the eclipse roundabouts? I saw light bend, Mustafa. It was the craziest thing ever. I did a show and I wrote that book, Kay, about the book was called Assault on Aquarius. I do believe that Elvis is still at Graceland. He is haunting it, and for some very specific reasons that I outlined in that book. And I believe that's out for $1.99. Assault on Aquarius. It's in my bookstore below. I can see where you're coming from. Thanks. I love Heidi. Yep, Heidi's great. I believe the Ghost of Elvis is in Graceland. Can the eclipse prove? Yes, I do. Jeff, sent you an email, okay? He did just go live again. Persian culture, the eclipse is a symbol of a new age, the age of the gods. I think you're right, Mustafa. It is a new day. And make sure you're still subscribed if you are a subscriber, because it's been kicking people off. If the moon was 1 centimeter closer to Earth, no eclipse. Interesting. Okay, Google, call, facts and matter. There's a revelation occurring at this very moment in time. Yep. Trying to listen and participate and clean up my workspace. The rapture nonsense is to distract us from the real messages being revealed right now. The book is being opened for the last days, and that book is not written. It's being sent. I agree with you, Doc. Hello, Misty and Jackie. 8 is on its side is infinity. Yeah, I didn't get to that. That's exactly right. And that's because it's a little bit scary. Where we are in 2024 probably is where we'll be for infinity. Where we are in 2024 spiritually is probably where we'll be for infinity. That's strong. Hello, Jen. Nice to see you again. 8 heavens and 8 savior angles. 8 doors of eternity. In 2024 is an 8, Mustafa, and it's a total solar eclipse. Wow. See how this works? We got all this good stuff coming in. The 7-year jubilation. Forget about their 7-year tribulation. You know what I say to their 7-year tribulation? Get that con out of my face. Get that con out of my face. Get that con out of my face. It's not 7-year tribulation. It's 7-year jubilation. I like it. Doc Illusion's getting it good. With a beautiful girl and a beagle. First time I ever felt that I was in a real meeting of the minds. Absolutely. Absolutely. The ancient Persian castle has 8 doors. How about that? Jack and Rexilla Van Amp. I'm going to take that out of there. They're a couple of loons. I don't think anyone who's prepared to awaken still watches mainstream television. I don't know, Chris. That's a good point. This could be the revelation mankind needs. I think it is. People's heads would explode. Yes, indeed. Let's get the dollars and manifest it. That's what I'm saying. You will never know until you know. And I literally could get network TV production. He's already produced network TV shows, and he'd do it for me for free, just for cost. I'm just saying. The savior angle rises at the 8th day of spring. Nice, Mustafa. The newer generations will be a part of our new spiritual age. Only use YouTube and social media. Interesting. Network TV is becoming obsolete. Yep. Chris Monet, that's old Facebook. Yep. Doc, Dish, they got a dozen channels. Okay, Dish. We could even do Dish. People are leaving the churches in droves. We got to give them a place to go. Speaking of kids, young adults, millennials, radio. Best perspective I've heard on this topic. Thank you. Jen Fisher, surrounded by religious folks on a daily basis. Much respect to you, Rosie Cross. Are you a Rosicrucian? How do you know that, Kay? One thing that should be clear, Hot House believing, search A. Maybe besides some guest women, Jeff would consider millennials as well. Yeah, absolutely, I would. Let me know. Send me an email. Christ said the disciples needed to stop questioning Mary's authority and shut up so they could learn something. That's true. We need to make this message pervasive, told far and wide. Absolutely. Help a brother out. An upcoming AT&T original documentary, The Sign, explores the intersections of science, religion, and history behind the Revelation 12 debate. What a bunch of crap. I didn't talk to Cliff yet. No, I'm not officially an oath-taking Rosicrucian. I just find their Gnostic message beautiful, and for good reason. All right, folks. Please talk about the connections between lunar and solar eclipses and their energy field deference. I will. Rex was talking about that documentary. He met them during the eclipse. See, it's the same crap. It's crap. It's the same old Revelation 12, September 23 crap show. It's fear, gloom, doom, deception. They're taking our eyes off the real story. The completed Christ, Sophia rising, male and female coming together, 7-year jubilation. They're trying, they're on network TV. They're putting this stuff out. Sometimes it's enough to make me very, very, I almost allow myself to get upset because I see what they're doing. And I see the success they're having. And I can't do any more. I'm going to try to squeeze another hour out of the day so I can get 20 instead of 19. Sometimes it can be frustrating. They're on network television telling their deceptive story. And it makes sense that a Jesuit show would get on quicker than a show about the reality. I'm okay now. It's just irritating. It really is. But that's okay. If we have to build our cake one crumb at a time, so be it. We'll do it. We'll get it done. So there you go. We'll be back today with some more talks. We'll learn more about this. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share. Please meditatively consider being a sponsor of this program financially so we can begin to do battle on an equal footing. I mean, on an equal footing, they can't touch us. And it will happen. Yeah, that's, and this is interesting. Scott, hey, Mazen. Scott Clark and L.A. Marzulli, both, like Rosie Cross says, both nice guys. Both gentlemen. L.A. Marzulli is a gentleman. He's done some things for one of my friends that proves he's a gentleman. But they're both so brainwashed into their Christian mindset that they can't see the truth. And sooner or later, the bell tolls for Scott Clark and L.A. Marzulli. You can't be wrong and spreading deception for so long until you have to pay the price for that. So they are, the bell is tolling for those two, and it's going to, they're writing checks that are going to come due. But they don't know what they're doing. They really don't. They really don't. So I can say, forgive them, Mother, Father, because they really don't know what they're doing. But shut them the hell up if you can, because they're doing a lot of damage. And, what just came into my mind is no more Mr. Nice Guy. We got to take charge and we got to rock and roll. And we can do it. We can do it if we just put our mind to it and combine our work and our resources. Yes, indeed. I feel better now. I'll be back soon with more cutting edge information. If you're a visitor, we appreciate you coming. I hope you'll come again. If you're one of our regulars, I appreciate you being part of the family. And to all of you that are here, you're obviously seeking truth. And I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is the gospel truth. And as a fellow truth seeker, I salute you. And I hope that you'll take this information I hope that you'll consider it. And I hope that you will indoctrinate yourself, and let's be excellent to one another. We'll see you again real soon.